Partners, as many of you know, I was a pilot most of my life. I loved going up in my plane with a picture of Yankee Doodle on the side. As a matter of fact, I used to fly to many of my speaking engagements. So when my researcher and writer Dennis Daly told me that the topic of this week's report was the patriotic pilot, I was all ears, waiting to find out who he or she was. When we think of pilots in American history, we tend to think of the brave men and women who had piloted our military aircraft, such as Gail Halvorson, the pilot who dropped chocolate bars to the children of Berlin during the airlift there. By the way, in 2 months, Halvorson will be 101 years old. We can't forget the Wright brothers or even Amelia Earhart. But our honoree this week made a huge contribution to American aviation. Not by flying, but by using a typewriter. Jimmy, let me get this straight. The pilot we're saluting this week used a typewriter to change aviation? Hey, you better explain that one. Well, I certainly will. Here goes. So let's go back to the summer of 1956. The two most trusted type of aircraft at the time were the Douglas DC-7 and the sleek and beautiful Lockheed Constellation, which were built right down the street here in Burbank. By the mid-1950s, more people were flying because things were safer and planes were better. Then on the morning of June the 30th, 1956, a TWA Constellation took off from LAX in Los Angeles and going toward Kansas City, Douglas DC-7 bound for Chicago. When both planes got near the Grand Canyon, both pilots decided to give the passengers a great big look at the natural wonder. Then emerging from a cloud, the Lockheed Constellation, and pilots saw the United plane right in front of him. The planes went down in one of the most remote parts of America, the Grand Canyon. The mid-air collision took 128 lives. At the time, there were no black boxes on planes and no real investigators of crashes. A former airmail pilot who had survived 4 plane crashes on his own over the years, Jack Parshall's, volunteered to head up the investigation. What Parshall's found were both the pilots were simply following orders. Both were in airspace where the rule was see and avoid. Parshall's sat down in his typewriter. He knew that the future of American passenger aviation was in his hands. In his report, he told Congress that America didn't need to fix its air traffic control system. He told the Congress that the America didn't even have an air traffic control system that was any good. It was a joke. Partners, today's stations that can track any plane, no matter where it is the result of Jack Parshall's blunt statement to Congress. He was a pilot who fought for airline safety with a typewriter. Let's say his name again, Jack Parshall. The next time you fly, think of old Jack and the guts he had to tell the truth story in his report to Congress. Okay, partners, you know the drill. Find that big old red X at the top and click it, and you'll be instantly brought back to the report page. I love you guys. Go get 'em, Tigers!